Hello dolls and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about Christmas in the 1960s. All the traditions, the music, the clothes, the decorations. I want to take you on a little trip back through time to spend this really special time with me. Just to quickly preface this, I'm mostly going to focus on Christmas in Great Britain and America today, mainly because these two countries were the ones where I found the most about when I researched for this video, but I would love to know what Christmas is like where you live. So just leave a comment down below telling me all about that, and now let me tell you about Christmas in the 1960s. Christmas in the 1960s had much in common with today's celebrations. Family gatherings, laughter, and plenty of festive cheer. However, the holiday back then had a more homespun charm. While today's festivities often revolve around presents and technology, the Christmases of the 1960s were shaped by simpler traditions, reflecting an era still recovering from post-war rationing and austerity, particularly in the early years of the decade. Take decorations, for instance. Most homes weren't decked out with elaborate lights or animated displays like they are often now. Instead, families would craft their own brightly colored paper chains to string across the living room walls. If budgets were tight, strips of newspaper served as a creative alternative. These handmade touches were often accompanied by honeycomb paper or foil ornaments shaped like bells and stars, while sprigs of holly were tucked behind picture frames to bring a bit of greenery indoors. The days of post-war rationing and austerity were still in recent memory, so especially in the early years in the decade of the 1960s, Christmases still had a feeling of frugality when compared to those of today. In the early 1960s, Christmas trees took on a sleek, modern twist with the rise of aluminum trees. Unlike in years before or today, where fresh-cut trees are readily available throughout the entire season and are truly the go-to for many, during the 1960s, shiny metallic trees became a trendy centerpiece in many living rooms across America. Over 1 million were sold, appealing to families drawn by their futuristic look. When decorating these aluminum trees, less was truly more. Ornaments in a single color or a rotating color wheel, casting hues of blue, red, green, and gold across the branches were a favorite. For children, the shifting colors were mesmerizing. The color wheel wasn't just decorative, it was a safety measure, as string lights couldn't be used on aluminum trees due to the fire hazard. Of course, real trees remained popular too. Many families chose fresh-cut trees from seasonal lots, with Scotch pines and balsam firs being favorites. These traditional trees were decorated with glass ornaments from brands like Shiny Bright, shimmering tinsel, and icicles made out of lead, though the latter would later be banned due to obvious health reasons. The final touch was often a Christmas fairy perched proudly at the top of the tree. The nativity scene was a cherished part of many households' Christmas traditions. Whether it was a store-bought set or a handmade creation, the scene often held a place for honor, with children and adults alike arranging the figures. For some families, adding personal touches like crafting the stable from cardboard or gathering moss from their own garden made it even more special. The iconic children's TV show Blue Peter played a huge role in encouraging such creativity. Every Christmas, the program would air segments on how to craft festive decorations and displays, often using everyday household items. For nativity scenes, Blue Peter hosts demonstrated how to create figures and settings using simple materials like empty cereal boxes, pipe cleaners, and tissue paper, inspiring families across the UK to get crafty together. One of Blue Peter's most memorable and somewhat daring craft project was the Advent Crown. The crown was made from wire coat hangers bent into a circular frame, covered with tinsel and adorned with candles at each corner. But by today's standards, the idea of young viewers handling fire in such proximity to flammable tinsel would definitely raise eyebrows. Despite the risks, these homemade crowns became a beloved tradition for many families, adding a uniquely nostalgic charm to their holiday celebrations. Christmas cards were another beloved part of the 1960s Christmas experience. By the early 1960s, these cards offered a variety of seasonal images, and by mid-December, many mailboxes would overflow with letters by friends and family. For kids, this was often the only time of the year that they were excited for mail. Christmas cards served a visual reminder that Santa was on his way, and sometimes they even contained cash gifts from distant relatives everyone had forgotten about. Cards were displayed around the house, often on the mantel, tables, or taped to the walls, adding a festive touch. For many families, Christmas really kicked off on Christmas Eve. Shops and businesses stayed open until at least midday, giving people time to pick up any last-minute festive food and drink. Since home freezers were still uncommon, everything for Christmas dinner had to be bought fresh. Families placed orders with butchers, greengrocers, and bakers, as supermarkets were only just beginning to open on the high street. Collecting all the goods was often a family affair, with everyone pitching in to help carry the heavy bags home. For kids in the 1960s, creating a Christmas list wasn't as easy as just browsing online. They eagerly awaited the Christmas catalogs like Sears, Roebuck and Co, JCPenney, and Montgomery Ward. Once these catalogs arrived, children would circle the toys and clothes they wanted and pass the catalog around, so other family members too could make their own pick. I find this particularly interesting because I grew up in the early 2000s and this is what I used to do. I remember my mom giving me all the catalogs I was so excited for, and I would cut out everything that I wanted and put it on a piece of paper with my wish list. So I love that this tradition persists. Some toys from the 1960s have since become timeless classics. Silly Putty, originally created as a rubber substitute, soon turned into a beloved toy, while the Etch-a-Sketch let kids draw on screen, a major hit. TV commercials also fueled the holiday excitement, showcasing the season's must-have toys in a way DVR couldn't skip. The arrival of the Christmas catalogs for many kids signaled the beginning of Christmas time. While adults often chose clothing or home pieces, kids' favorites also included the G.I. Joe dolls, Wham-O Super Balls, and Chatty Cathy dolls, as well as the classic Easy Bake Oven. For children, waking up and finding one of these treasures under the tree was a truly unforgettable moment. In the 1960s, Christmas attire reflected both the formality of the occasion and the evolving fashion trends of the decade. Women often wore their best outfits for Christmas Day, which could include elegant dresses, skirts, and blouses. For more formal gatherings, many wore dresses with a tight-fitted waist and a full skirt, often in rich fabrics like velvet, satin, or wool. This is kind of what I am wearing today. I don't want to fumble too much with it because it's going to be really loud, but I'm going to put up a video of me in this dress here. I thrifted it last week and I am head over heels in love with it. It is most likely from the late 1950s and it's just a dream come true in a dress. It has that very classic silhouette of a fitted top with a tight waist and then it just flows out, and this dress was just made for Christmas. However, as the decade progressed and fashion trends changed, the miniskirt became a beloved choice on Christmas Eve too. This was truly a generational shift. Just imagine a family coming together, the mother wearing a dress kind of like this, the mothers and probably all women over the age of 25 wearing a dress like this, while the younger girls were just showing up in the teeniest, tiniest mini dresses, often made from sparkling materials, stunning everyone. With the classic dresses, accessories like gloves, pearls, and festive scarves were common. I, for example, have these bauble Christmas earrings that just remind me so much of the classic ones that you used to see so much in the 1960s. But in the later part of the decade, the mod style also influenced holiday fashion more broadly, with shift dresses, bold patterns, and mini skirts making their way into Christmas wardrobes, especially for younger women. Men typically wore suits or smart trousers with a shirt and a tie, a Christmas jumper, though this would definitely become more common in the 1970s, or a sweater might have also been worn with a more casual Christmas look. For Christmas parties and more formal evening events, many would even pull out their tuxedos and evening jackets. Men's attire tended to be more conservative compared to the 1970s, with a focus on classic tailoring. Children's Christmas clothes were often special and formal, with girls wearing festive dresses or skirts with tights and boys wearing trousers with button-up shirts or even little suits. Young boys might have also sported waistcoats or knitted cardigans, while girls often wore dresses with holiday-themed patterns such as tartan or floral prints. The 1960s were also a golden age for holiday TV specials, with animated classics like A Charlie Brown Christmas and How the Grinch Stole Christmas that remain beloved today. Music was another highlight of the season, with Christmas albums by Andy Williams, Nat King Cole, Perry Como, Johnny Mathis, Brenda Lee, Ella Fitzgerald, Elvis Presley, the Ronettes, the Crystals, and the Beach Boys filling homes with festive cheer and creating a magical atmosphere for all. Don't worry, I'll talk more about Christmas music in a second, but before that, I would like to talk to you about Christmas TV and films. Because holiday specials in the 1960s were a must-see, and planning ahead to catch them was essential, as they aired only once a year. Variety shows hosted by stars like Dean Martin, Bing Crosby, and Andy Williams added to the festive spirit. These programs not only showcased timeless Christmas songs, but also offered a glimpse into the hosts' lives, making them feel like a part of the family during the holiday season. The 1960s introduced many animated shows that became annual traditions in homes across America. Throughout December, kids eagerly awaited announcements on television to find out when the holiday specials would air. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which premiered in 1964, became one of the most popular specials, with in-stop-motion presentation that's still a favorite today. Two other animated classics from the mid-1960s, A Charlie Brown Christmas and How the Grinch Stole Christmas, remain beloved for their messages about the growing commercialization of the holiday, reminding the viewers that Christmas is about more than just getting presents. But what would Christmas time be like in the 1960s without Christmas music on the home stereo or playing on department store speakers? This decade brought a flood of Christmas albums, with many recording their own versions of old favorites, as well as new holiday hits. Christmas songs in the 1960s held a special significance, reflecting the decade's cultural shift and its deep connection to holiday traditions. As the post-war era gave way to new forms of artistic expression and technological advancements, holiday music became a powerful way to bridge the past and present, offering comfort, joy, and a sense of unity during a time of change. The 1960s were a transformative decade, marked by social upheaval and the rise of the counterculture. Christmas songs with their themes of nostalgia and family provided a grounding force. Classics like Bing Crosby's White Christmas and Nat King Cole's A Christmas Song remained beloved, offering familiarity and comfort in a rapidly changing world. Artists embraced the holiday season as an opportunity to connect with their audiences in a personal way. Holiday albums by stars like Andy Williams, Elvis Presley, and Frank Sinatra became bestsellers, showcasing both their vocal talents and their interpretation of beloved carols and contemporary tunes. These albums solidified their status as cultural icons and left an enduring legacy on music. The 1960s also saw the introduction of contemporary holiday hits that reflected the growing influence of pop, rock, and soul music. Songs like Brenda Lee's Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, which she recorded at only 13 years old. I don't know why, but judging off her voice, I always assumed it was a woman in her 40s. It's incredible to me that a young girl could sound like that. What a wonderful voice she has. And the Ronettes' Sleigh Ride infused traditional holiday themes with youthful energy, creating a fresh sound that appealed to the younger generation. Television specials and commercials prominently featured Christmas music, making it an integral part of holiday celebrations. Animated classics like A Charlie Brown Christmas introduced timeless tracks like Vince Guaraldi's Christmas Time is Here, while variety shows hosted by Dean Martin and Andy Williams brought festive music into living rooms nationwide, strengthening its role in family tradition. Christmas music served as a cultural unifier during the 1960s, whether through crooners, traditional renditions, rock-inspired hits, or soulful melodies. These songs resonated with people of all ages, creating shared experiences that transcended generational divides. This really speaks to me. I grew up with my dad always playing the Bob Dylan Christmas album, and just a couple of weeks ago we went to see him live together. So I feel like the idea of Christmas music bringing generations together is truly beautiful, and at least in my family it worked. Whether through crooners, traditional renditions, rock-inspired hits, or soulful melodies, these songs resonated with people of all ages, creating shared experiences that transcended generational divides. The holiday music of the 1960s continues to shape how we experience the season today. Its ability to blend timeless traditions with contemporary influences ensures that these songs would become an enduring part of the festive soundtrack for many generations to come. The 1960s, after all, gave us some of the most iconic Christmas songs and albums. albums that are still beloved today. Like pretty much everything in the 1960s, the Beatles also influenced how Christmas was celebrated. At least in the public eye, the Beatles did have a really special connection with Christmas, both through their music and their interactions with fans during the holiday season. Each year from 1963 to 1969, the Beatles recorded a special Christmas message for their fans, which was even sent out as a free holiday gift to members of their official Beatles fan club. These were usually fun, quirky, and full of humorous banter between the band members. The records often included personalized messages, skits, and updates on the band's activities, making them a unique and intimate way to connect with their fans during the Christmas season. There are so many of these, and you can luckily find all of them online, but I'm just gonna play a couple for you here because they're just truly wonderful. I am actually pretty jealous that I didn't get one of these recording sets for Christmas. Imagine how wonderful it is to be a fan of a band, and because you cannot just go on Google and look what they are up to right now, you only get this special kind of message once a year. So I truly imagine how wonderful this must have been for all the Beatles fan club members. Although the Beatles didn't release any specific Christmas-themed songs, aside from the occasional mention in their lyrics, their music was an integral part of the holiday celebrations for many fans. Classics like Happy Christmas, War is Over by John Lennon, released in 1971, became closely associated with Christmas, even though it came a few years after the band had split. But the spirit of Christmas could be found in many Beatles songs, like for example Let It Be and All You Need Is Love, which are all about the goodwill and togetherness of the Beatles. However, the Beatles were also known for their elaborate and pretty infamous Christmas parties in the 1960s. These events were often full of laughter, fun, and surprise, some sort of drug, at least during their later years, and it really reflected their playful personalities. However, generally speaking, the band members enjoyed celebrating the season more in private, away from the public eye, with their families and close friends. Between decorating the Christmas tree and opening presents on Christmas morning, other traditions like sending Christmas cards, baking cookies, and taking family photos filled time leading up to the big day. For many, these moments with family are some of the most cherished. Some traditions that began in the 1960s are still celebrated today, as they remind us of that special time in our lives, when the magic of Christmas really was magical. All over England, pots and bottles of loose change collected over the year would be emptied in order to pay for the Christmas drinks. Alcohol was purchased from the off license, often a section of the local pub. All shops would be closed on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, so if something was forgotten, it was too late, which could be a catastrophe if batteries for the longed-for Christmas toy had been forgotten. On Christmas Eve at bedtime, parents would ceremoniously lay out a plate with a mince pie and a glass of sherry, Harvey's Bristol cream of course, for Father Christmas by the Christmas tree. Sometimes a carrot would also be left for Rudolph. Stockings or pillowcases were left by the beds upstairs, ready to be filled with gifts, if the child had been good, of course. Each year, Christmas stockings would be filled with satsuma or mandarin oranges, a walnut, and a coin. Often included were chocolate coins, a selection box of chocolate, puzzle books, small toys, crayons, and an annual, typically piano or dandy. Meanwhile, the main present was wrapped and placed under the Christmas tree downstairs. Main gifts were usually opened after breakfast and could include a watch, perhaps a Ticket Time axe, a Scalextric, or a Cindy doll. I've mentioned a couple of popular toys before, but in Britain, many also loved 3D Viewmasters, Meccano sets, or the amazing Magic Robot game, which actually answered your questions. Relatives often brought handmade gifts as well, such as knitted jumpers and scarves, adding a personal and thoughtful touch to the celebrations. The 1960s were a decade of transition and transformation, not only in music, fashion, and culture, but also in the way people celebrated Christmas. While many of the foods enjoyed during the holiday season remained firmly rooted in tradition, the post-war era saw the rise of convenience foods and innovations in the kitchen. Christmas meals in the 1960s often combined beloved classics with the new possibilities offered by emerging brands and modern conveniences, creating a festive spread that was both familiar and newly exciting. The centerpiece of the Christmas meal in the 1960s was often a roast meat, but not necessarily turkey. In many households, the main dish could be chicken, capon, or goose. While turkey had become popular in the UK and America, chicken was still considered a treat in the early part of the decade, primarily due to its cost. Before factory farming became widespread, chicken was a premium product, and families would often splurge on it for the holiday meal. Alongside these traditional meats, the meal was accompanied by a variety of side dishes, each carrying its own nostalgic charm. Stuffing was a key component to the holiday spread in the 1960s. It wasn't just the usual sage and onion variety. Sausage meat stuffing, or even the more luxurious chestnut stuffing, started to make their way onto the Christmas table, elevating the meal. Bread sauce was another classic addition, a creamy, rich sauce that complemented the meat beautifully. Roast meats were often paired with chipolatas or pigs in blankets, a small sausage wrapped in bacon. These treats quickly became a Christmas favorite and are still a staple at holiday meals today. For many, the highlights of the roast were the roast potatoes, perfectly crisp and golden on the outside, while light and fluffy on the inside. Mashed potatoes, carrots, parsnips, and of course Brussels sprouts rounded out the vegetable offerings, ensuring that the meal was hearty and filling. I have never had a meal like this, and it just sounds truly beautiful. I feel like I need to cook this one day. The Christmas meal often began with a warm bowl of soup, and in many homes, this was a familiar canned variety rather than a homemade creation. Baxter's soup, a Scottish brand that was well known for its hearty broth and soups, was a popular choice, but so was Campbell's. One of the favorites of the era by Baxter's soup was Highland broth, a gamey, meaty soup that served as a precursor to the main meal. While not known for its delicate flavors, some would even describe it as tasting a bit like dishwater with small pieces of gristle. It was a comforting and traditional starter, showing how some dishes stayed true to their roots despite changing tastes. No 1960s Christmas meal would have been completed without the Christmas pudding, and it was often the centerpiece of the post-dinner celebration. The preparation of the pudding was an important part of the holiday rituals, with families often preparing it weeks in advance. The pudding itself was rich and dense, made with suet, dried fruits, and spices. It was traditionally served with brandy butter or custard, and the best part of the experience, of course, was when the pudding was flambéed at the table. The pudding's entrance was always a theatrical one, with the brandy poured over it and lit, sending flames shooting up in a dramatic display. It was a symbol of Christmas indulgence and festivity. Brands like Ambrosia helped make the custard that would accompany this dessert, making it easy for families to serve a rich and creamy custard without the hassle of making it from scratch. Christmas snacks and treats played a major role in the season's festivities. Chocolate coins and selection boxes were a common stocking filler, bringing sweetness to the day's celebration. Cadbury was a popular brand during the era, with its iconic chocolate selection box becoming part of many family traditions. These were often filled with a variety of chocolate, from milk bars to creamy truffles. Alongside these, fruitcake was a staple dessert, often made weeks ahead of time and laden with alcohol-soaked fruits, while mince pies also appeared in abundance. These small spice pies, filled with a mixture of dried fruits, suet, and spices, have long been associated with Christmas and were a popular offering during the 1960s. Many families made their own, but ready-made versions from brands like Marks & Spencer and Birds were readily available, allowing for an easier but still indulgent treat. The 1960s saw a rise of convenience food, and Christmas was no exception. With more households going for frozen foods and pre-made items, many families opted for easy-to-prepare options for their festive meals. Frozen vegetable, turkey dinners, and pre-made Yorkshire puddings, as well as puff pastry items, started to appear in freezer sections across the country, making Christmas dinner preparations a little less stressful. Brands like Bird's Eye and Findus made frozen vegetables a staple in many homes, and frozen desserts like ice cream cakes and log cakes became increasingly popular. This shift allowed busy families to enjoy a more relaxed holiday meal without compromising on variety and indulgence. No Christmas table in the 1960s was complete without a set of Christmas crackers. These festive party favors, filled with a small gift, a joke, and a paper crown, were an essential part of the holiday tradition. Cracker brands like crowns and bells were commonly seen adorning place settings, and it was kind of expected that everyone on the dinner table would wear their paper hat throughout the meal. Christmas food in the 1960s was a blend of tradition and innovation, reflecting a time when families were embracing the comfort of modern living while holding on to the beloved practices of past generations. From traditional roasts and hearty soups to the excitement of flambéed puddings and the rise of convenience foods. The meals of the 1960s still form the backbone of many holiday celebrations today. The decade's festive feasts may have been simpler in some ways, but were filled with warmth, togetherness, and the joy of family traditions that continue to live on in our holiday celebration. The 1960s marked a golden era for Christmas TV and films in both the UK and US, with families gathering around the TV to watch beloved specials and films that became part of the holiday tradition. In the UK, Christmas TV specials were eagerly anticipated, with Blue Peter airing its festive specials and teaching kids how to make Christmas crafts. The comedy duo The Two Ronnies also became a holiday staple with their hilarious sketches. Doctor Who began airing festive-themed episodes in the 60s, blending Christmas with science fiction. In the US, several iconic Christmas specials debuted, including A Charlie Brown Christmas from 1965, which focused on the true meaning of Christmas and became a perennial favorite. The following year brought How the Grinch Stole Christmas, while Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from 1964 also became a beloved holiday tradition. Andy Williams' annual Christmas specials brought festive cheer with musical performances, while The Ed Sullivan Show featured star-studded Christmas episodes. While many of the beloved Christmas films were released either before or after the 1960s, there were still several notable films during the decade that later became beloved holiday favorites. The 1965 Sound of Music was a Christmas season staple, with its themes of family and love. The Apartment from 1960 captured the spirit of the season with its heartfelt yet bittersweet story, while It's a Mad, 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 Mad World from 1963 brought festive comedy to the holidays. The 1960s helped establish many of the Christmas traditions we still enjoy today, whether through the heartwarming tales of Charlie Brown and the Grinch, or the musical magic of Andy Williams and The Ed Sullivan Show. The decade's Christmas programming continues to be cherished and watched every holiday season. In the early 1960s, British TV was limited to only two channels, BBC and ITV, at least until BBC Two launched in 1964. Interestingly, both the BBC and ITV would often schedule competing circus broadcasts on Christmas afternoon, with Billy Smart Circus airing on the BBC and another circus special on ITV. This quirky tradition became a part of the holiday viewing experience, offering families a light-hearted break from the festive celebrations. And then the Christmas traditions were over for another year. Finally, no Christmas was complete without the annual Christmas photo. After presents were unwrapped and everyone donned their best Christmas outfit, it was time to gather in front of the tree or the fireplace for a commemorative photo. Some families even filmed home movies, though these were often just short snippets due to the high cost of film. These memories were often silenced, which perhaps was a blessing, at least judging by the volume of my family's Christmas gatherings. The 1960s were a decade of change, yet the magic of Christmas remained timeless. From the festive TV specials that brought families together to the classic songs that filled homes with warmth, Christmas in the 1960s was a unique blend of tradition and modernity. Whether it was gatherings around the tree, indulging in a hearty holiday meal, or eagerly awaiting the arrival of a toy catalog, the spirit of the season was alive and well. As we look back on this decade, we are reminded of the simple joys that made Christmas special, a sense of togetherness, excitement, and warmth that continues to resonate today. So that is it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had such a good time researching this video and filming it. I feel like Christmas traditions in the 60s just seemed so beautiful. It seemed like such a carefree, wonderful time of the year, and I am so excited for Christmas this year. I know it's only mid-November, but I'm already kind of counting the days. I have one more non-vlogmas video coming next Wednesday because I'm actually getting a haircut and I'm so truly excited. I cannot wait to show you what they're doing with my hair. I really want to go for a Merry and Faithful inspired haircut, but I'll make a video and show you. because I know that you're always interested in 1960s hair. But next Sunday, exactly a week from now, my Vlogmas will start. And every single day, I will break down 1 year of the 1960s and talk about the fashion, the music, the art, the people, a little bit of politics, prices, everything that might be interesting. So December 1st, I'm going to tell you about the year 1960. December 2nd, I'm going to tell you about the year 1961. But don't you worry, I will take a break every 5 videos and bring you a classic Vlogmas vlog. These will probably be a little longer as I'm only doing a couple this year, but I'm so excited. I already decorated this back there yesterday because I knew I wanted to film this video today. And I'm just so full with Christmas joy already. Please tell me about your favorite Christmas tradition, what your family does, and what you are looking forward to the most. I would love to read about it in the comments. I know that a lot of people do not watch these videos just as they air, so if you're perhaps watching this on Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas everyone. Whether you're celebrating or not, I just hope you have a beautiful day. If you enjoyed the video, I would love you to give it a thumbs up and maybe even share it with a friend. It supports me, it supports the channel, and it would truly mean the world. I hope you have a beautiful day. Go out, enjoy the hopefully sunshine and snow. Take yourself some time to focus on you and your mental health today. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye, dolls.